Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Lady Walker Show. I am Lady Walker, and we have a gem dandy of a show in store for you. My guest is here to share with us her journey in the birthing of her first book entitled Southern Jewel, The Elements Within. Beloved, put your hands together and welcome to the show, Ty Patterson. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am excited to finally be here with you today.
And I am every bit excited to meet you, Ty Patterson.
Yes, indeed.
So we are going to talk about what led to the birthing of your book entitled
Southern Jewel, The Elements Within.
We are going to talk about that, but before we get into information about your book, let's talk about what led you on the journey to begin with.
Awesome. I've always been the bookworm. When I was smaller, I was a big advocate of reading no matter what it was, and I was getting in trouble because I would have all these books in my bed and my room was just full of books everywhere. But that was of course a good thing.
Yes.
And even in school I was kind of labeled as the bookworm, but I got out of it. When I went to college, I got out of it and I wanted to be more social. And when you're more social, you have to do it the right way. You know, even though I wasn't writing anymore, I was meeting people and I was still writing a little bit of poetry, but I kept it locked up in a journal, and we would read for fun sometimes to have poetry night in the dorm room, but it didn't go any further than that. And you know, in the workforce, sometimes it's hard for you to land that job that you want. And I kept getting roadblocks, like I have a master's, what's going on? And
you have a master?
I do.
In what?
In organizational management.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm business minded, but I love creativity. And when I got away from that, God said, well, if you do what I want you to do, then things will start happening for you. Because I had put literature to the side. And even in school, I was hundreds in literature, and the kids would tease me and say, how in the world are you doing this? How are you remembering this stuff? It's because that's what I wanted to do. And so with writing this, I was writing on Facebook, because as you grow and you deal with relationships and friends and money issues, you feel like sometimes nobody understands you, even though you're in a pool of people going through the same thing. You feel like, no, you don't understand. So my outlet was writing. And the reason why is because my mom used to tell me, you have a smart mouth. And so I have
told my daughters that when they were young, as well as my grandkids.
Yes.
Smart mouth.
And I didn't really like that. I thought of myself as verbal, but not offensive. So I would write and keep everything locked away or stored away, and I would read it when I wanted to. But I also kept love letters. I kept everything. I was one of those people that it meant something to me. So I kept a lot of information, and on Facebook I would write. They have a section called notes, but I would write poetry. And before I knew it, I had written 42 poems on Facebook.
Oh, that's a lot.
That is a lot
to be sharing with other people.
And you know how it is. People can get your information.
And you would think, well, they would think, well, when they share it with other friends, they would think that their person wrote it.
Exactly. So I had to stop. But a lot of things, I just wanted to get it out. And I tried to stop writing, but I couldn't. So I blocked it and printed it off, and I saved it. But the comments that the people left was so encouraging. And you know, I didn't have a private page. So people were commenting that weren't even friends of mine. They just saw it and they would say, oh, this is really good. And then it went from it's really good to you need to write a book. And so I finally decided to go ahead and write that book.
But at first you didn't know if that was the direction that you wanted to go, or you knew at some point in time as a child that you would probably eventually do a book?
As a child, I did know. I wrote children's books and I would put them in my little purse. Mom would give me the purse that she didn't want anymore. And so that was my purse at that time. So I would take me a purse to school And I would tear a couple of pages and write little children's stories, maybe about 4 or 5 pages, and pass them around the classroom.
Did you?
And the kid, let me see your book. Let me see your book.
Really?
So I did. And I was always the one that had the best illustrations or the best projects when it came to stories. And I was always, they knew, my class knew. If we had something dealing with writing, I was going to knock everybody out of the park.
Wow, now you said something about literature earlier. And when you look at English and literature, they are somewhat different. Because normally, I don't know if I took literature when I was at JSU or not. I don't recall, maybe at Hines. But I guess it's a kind of English, but it's not the grammar and all of that kind of stuff, even though you get graded for that. But to me, it was challenging. As a matter of fact, I think I did take it. And it was challenging, because what they want you to write about or what they want you to analyze and compare and all of that.
Yes.
But you liked that.
I loved it. The math and the science were the ones that I didn't really care for, but the English and the literature, I loved it because I could write, I can make up a story, I can make up a poem. It was just effortless. And it was a part of being creative. So anything where I felt like I have control over this. You can't control math. It is what it is. Exactly. And you got to get it right. Those things in science, and you have to get it right. Mm-hmm. But you're a little bit more free when it comes to writing. And I loved it. And just being able to write about something that I went through, go ahead and get it out, and someone else be able to relate to it and see my perspective and maybe get a little bit of understanding and feel better about how to handle the situation. That is really what encourages me the most, because it's about helping people at the end of the day.
That is so great. So your book, Southern Jewel, The Elements Within, is a book of poetry.
Yes.
And really it's about things that you have experienced in life.
Things that I've experienced, and it also combines poetry and motivation at the same time.
That's great.
Because it didn't always have to rhyme.
And you know what, and that's the thing. I know coming up, I thought that, the nursery rhymes as a child growing up, and you think everything has to rhyme when it doesn't. But you can tell a story in the form, or should I say in the format of a poem.
That's right.
And it can be just as powerful.
That's right.
Than a regular book itself.
Exactly. And that is what I wanted to do. You hit the nail on the head with that. Because a lot of times it's not the roses are red, violets are blue in here at all. Because
look, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Bible, with the Psalms and everything.
I love it.
They're like poems, but they make a point.
Yes.
It's conducive to everyday living.
Yes.
And your spiritual life and all of that. So, but they are poems.
Yes. And I love it. I love to read it. And Proverbs as well. That storytelling element, because you want to entertain. You want entertainment. And you can get entertainment even out of the Bible.
There you go.
You really can. And that played a part in me writing as well. But the main thing I wanted people to understand is that it will be okay. You can write about your feelings, you can express your feelings, but how do you handle it mentally? Because your glass can be half empty, it can be half full. It's how you look at it.
Exactly.
But if you choose to look at things in a negative light, or hang on to the negative aspects instead of moving on, you're damaging yourself. You're damaging yourself, and what's in you will come out.
Okay, well, what we are going to do is take a break, and we are going to come back and continue to discuss your newest or your first book.
Awesome.
Entitled Southern Jewel, The Elements Within.
Yes, thank you.
All right, beloved, we will be right back.
Tonight's guest is Ty Patterson, author of Southern Jewel, The Elements Within. For more information about book purchase, log on to www.amazon.com or www.meredithaccenture.com or call 601-720-4420.
Welcome back, beloved. My guest is Ty Patterson, the author of Southern Jewel, The Elements Within. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges that you faced along this journey in the birth of your book?
Oh, there were many. Unfortunately, by me being young and going through different trials with friendships and you know, money problems and trying to find that career path, and then relationships, it kind of pulls you away from your purpose, because you get to wondering, when is things going to get better? When is things going to change? And so we don't really use that time to, that's time you're supposed to be working on your gift, but instead we're trying to figure things out.
That is so interesting the way you said that. You're right. We are spending that time worrying about this and that instead of focusing and honing that gift that you have.
Exactly, and your gift is just sitting there, and you're wondering, you know, what can I do about the situation? But your gift can bring you out of the situation if you work on it. And so I was dealing with these friendships and things, and what I would do, I would write everything on Facebook. Everything I was feeling.
Your outlet, huh?
That was my outlet. I was the one. They said, "Oh, we know what's going on with you because it's on Facebook." And that's where the poems came in.
A lot of people do. A lot of people go to Facebook. They gravitate towards Facebook to express their feelings and their emotions. So that is what they use as their platform. That's
right. But with any type of communication, you have to be discreet. So
every bit discreet. As my sister would say, all day, all night. Have to be discreet.
That's right. And so even though I had these feelings, it would come out as poetry, because I did not want to tarnish, oh, she's saying this and she's saying that. It would be in a format to where it's expressive, but it's not aggressive.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it was still poetry, but it was still sitting on Facebook. It was adding up on Facebook. But the challenges were really just finding good things to write about. You know, we complain about so many things, not knowing how good we have it. But when are you going to write about your blessings? Whether they are what you think they should be, you're blessed. So you've got to write about more than just hurt or frustration. You got to be well-rounded, because people go through balance. That's right. People go through more than one thing. And we could have 4 emotions in 30 minutes.
I know. Never looked at it like that, but that is so true.
You never know. And for me to be able to write something that catered to every single time in my life, hoping that it would touch someone else, that was the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal. But you have to listen. You have to pray about your decisions, and He'll give you the answer. And I had to pray, because I was wasting time. Also, you know, frustrated, and God will handle your situation.
And you said something during the break that you depressed yourself. You made yourself depressed.
I made myself depressed because I was worrying about the wrong thing. And the truth is, we worry about people that have moved on. They're not worrying about us anymore. But our gift is still sitting there waiting on us, like a baby. If your baby is crying, you need to see what's going on.
Right, and you're not developing. You got it, but you're not trying to grow it. You're not trying to develop that gift to its full potential.
Exactly right. And a lot of times, you know, we don't treat our gifts like that, like it's your baby, because that is exactly what it is. You have to nurture it. You also have to do research about it. So for me to be a writer, I got to get back into reading.
Exactly. And you know that takes time. And sometimes people don't want to put in that kind of time, because it can be time consuming depending on how you use your time.
That's
right. But it can be time consuming, but you have to be willing to put forth that effort when it comes to whatever gift that you have.
And I tell people, you have to be what you require.
All right, good.
You know, that's in business or relationships. If you have these standards, you know, then how are you reflecting those standards within yourself? So I had to be a reader, I had to be a writer, I had to be a listener to know how people are really feeling, what's going on. I had to watch, I have to be honest. If you are going to be a writer, you got to be honest.
And you know, sometimes people don't want to share, and sometimes people expose what they're going through or what they have been through. They expose it. Some people just expose it, and some people sort of hold some things in, and they won't too much share that information. But you know, sometimes when you expose various things, you can be blessing other people. Because sometimes it depends. If I'm listening to a person, if And there's something wrong with having it good. But if you never went through, or if you never shared that you went through some things to get to where you are, well, I may not want to read your story. Exactly.
That's exactly right. And you can't really just put yourself in a box.
Exactly.
You can't do that. You never know who can relate, and you never know who wants to help you share your story as well. When you're born, I really don't feel like you're living for yourself. As soon as you get here, you're living for other people. People are watching you time you hit this earth. And so what are you going to show them? And then when you have children, what are you going to show them? Because the children really need really good examples, even if it's just writing a poem or saying, okay, you don't have to express yourself this way, do it this way. Write about it until you can figure it out.
A few ways to express it.
Yeah, positively.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I did it with my writing and not my mouth. I'm very glad, you know.
Do you have any children?
I have 2 girls. And so one is 3 and one is 11.
Okay.
And one is creative and one is athletic. So they're like night and day, literally. They're like night and day. But I have to make sure that I talk to them and encourage not only my interests, but their own interests.
So you said one is creative as in writing as well?
Yes, writing. She likes to make little jewelry and she likes to do everything. I think because she was my firstborn and there's a gap in their age difference. So she was with me the longest.
3,
yes. So she's more like me. But I always tell her, you don't have to mimic me because you'll find just the way you are. What are your interests? Be honest.
And that's good because sometimes there are parents who want their children to walk in their steps, to do whatever they are doing. And if that is not what God called your children to do, well, you are doing your children a disservice.
Yes.
To have them to be just like you.
That's right. Because a lot of us don't need clones. A lot, you know,
for real.
A lot of us, we still have things to do, work on ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. But we want our children to be free, and it's okay. If you like art, you like art. If you like sports, you like sports. We don't want them to get wrapped up in what do other people think about me. Because you might not be good at what you're doing right now to someone else, but you can grow up and be great.
That is very good information, every bit good.
Yes.
Because again, you have to grow into it.
That's right.
You have to prepare your way. Well, this time we are going to come back and talk about some of the poems in your book. We didn't get there during. We were supposed to, but we didn't get there.
That's all right.
All right, we are going to take another break and we are going to come back and continue along your journey in writing your first book.
Yes, indeed.
All right, beloved, we will be right back.
Tonight's guest is Ty Patterson, author of Southern Jewel, The Elements Within. For more information about book purchase, log on to www.amazon.com or www.meredithexcetera.com or call 601-720-4420.
Welcome back to the Lady Walker Show. My guest tonight is Ty Patterson. Ty has written her first book of poetry entitled Southern Jewels, or Southern Jewel, The Elements Within.
That's right.
Okay, now let's go into your poetry. Share with the people some of the poems that's in your book. And I like the way you got it laid out. You got like Earth, chapter 1. Then you have Fire, chapter 2, and you have Water, chapter 3, and Air, chapter 4, and I don't know how else it goes. But anyway, one of your poems is entitled Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about Wonder Woman and what inspired Wonder Woman.
What inspired Wonder Woman was being a single parent. And I felt like, oh my goodness, this burden is too much. I've got to do everything. I don't have enough hours in the day. And I'm changing my hair and so doesn't notice it. And you know, all of these things that we worry about, and then making sure the kids have what they have, bills paid. And so I had to realize that I am Wonder Woman no matter what anybody else thinks, no matter what I think. I know that's me. And that's a lot of our women out there today.
You're right, because many hats, right?
Yes.
Many hats. Cook, clean,
yes,
do all of that work.
Yes.
So it's a whole lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, and then you still have to be a listening ear. You have to be a disciplinary. You have to be professional. You have to be pretty. You have to be, social. Just all these things, and then you got to be sweetheart to someone.
Wow.
Sometimes that's work. If you don't feel
that is work. Now this is the part. This is something that I found to be interesting. The way you expressed it. You say yet. You said she cooks, she cleans, she gives her all. Yet the things she does are looked at as small.
Yes. Being taken for granted.
Yes. And sometimes people will take doing those things as, oh, it's nothing significant, it's nothing, but yet they themselves would not do it.
Or can't do it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, I still do this to this day. I'll say, now when this alarm clock goes off, I'm not going to get up. I'm going to see who else gets up. Nobody gets up. I am the clock.
Yes, that's how it is in my house too. Okay, I am the clock. Okay, that's Wonder Woman. Now let's move on to action, which is in chapter 2, dealing with fire.
Yes. Now fire, it goes both ways, because fire, sometimes you cannot contain it. So it could be about anger, it could be about passion, it could be about love, anything. But action is straight to the point. It's about action in love, because sometimes you just want to be with that person and you don't want to worry about anything else that's going on. And you just want to be with that person, and you just want to almost make a movie, or you just want somebody to say action. As soon as someone says action, it is on. It is on. And it was just pretty much, everybody's not romantic. Everybody doesn't have that romantic side, that sweet side, and rose petals. Some people are just, hey, it's on.
Okay, it's on. Okay, gotcha. So it's action. Okay, but I like the way you use a few names in here, and
yeah,
you'll forget Halle Berry, and you'll be my #1 fan.
Yes.
Monster Ball was acting what she did. I can.
Yes, indeed. So sometimes you have to role play, and sometimes you have to act like it's a stage there, and that's when it's like action.
Action. All right. Moving on to No Time for Ty, which is water. The chapter is water.
Yes.
Water, no time for Ty.
Water was a chapter dealing with emotions. And a lot of times we don't know what to do, and all we can do is cry. And don't hold back those tears. If you got to cry, let it out. And at this point, I was a single mother, and I was feeling overwhelmed, but I felt like nobody had time for me, but I made time for everybody else. I would listen to everybody's problems. And a lot of times we don't realize that when we vent to the same people over and over again, we drain them. And then at some point, they have nothing to give to us the next time, because we've drained them and we've gotten all of the good that they could give to us, and they have to be poured back into.
Right.
Or there's nothing left. And at some point, you will reach a point to where it's like, golly, I have given this person, these encouraging words. I've given them my time, my listening ear. And now when I really need someone, everybody's too busy.
Oh my.
Everybody's got something
when
else.
You need an encouraging word.
Yes, just no time. And I put my name in there because it was about me.
And you know what? And you know what? And sometimes you hear people say it's not about you, but at some point in time, it is about you.
That's right.
When will it be about me if it's all about you?
That's right.
Hey, there's a poem somewhere.
We have to take responsibility. Yes. That's right. We don't always handle things the right way, but we don't want to admit it. Oh, we want everybody to think we handle stuff the right way all the time, and that is not true.
It's not, because there are times when you probably get by yourself where you cry. As you say, it's okay to cry. Sometimes when people will have you think that it's wrong if you cry.
Right.
You are weak. No, sometimes that's a way that you release that pressure, that built up pressure from worry or whatever.
That's right.
It's, you know, letting that pressure
That's right.
out so you can get a relief.
That's right.
So it's okay to cry at times.
That was an emotion given to us by God that we were not supposed to have. That emotion, we wouldn't have it.
Very well put. Very well put.
Yes.
So it's okay.
It's okay.
When need be to let the tears flow. You know, it's somewhat therapeutic.
It is very therapeutic, and men, it's no problem with that. If you feel like you need to go in a room by yourself and do it because your actions are going to come out.
Yes.
Whether you are ready for them to come out at that time or not. And we would rather have you cry than be angry.
Then to repress it, and then it comes out in a different way.
That's right. Women and men and children, whatever
it is. Of course, you know, men are taught not to cry. You got to be a big boy. You can't be a wimp. And so they do not show forth that emotion, especially in front of anyone.
Right.
And they may not do it, you know, when they are alone because they think that I'm not being a man. And that's why when little boys, young boys may cry, fall and get hurt, and you know, sometimes, well, a lot of time when you fall and you get hurt, it's pain. So of course you may cry. So you don't tell a little boy, stop crying, you acting like a sissy and all of that kind of stuff.
That's right.
It's time out for that. That child has hurt himself.
That's right.
So it's okay for that child to cry.
That's right. And you know what? That small action can get people to, that's denial. Mm-hmm. And when you start young,
that you had that pain.
And you'll start denying that you didn't hurt people. You'll start denying, you know, denying, I said it, but I didn't mean it. You know, it can start a lot of denying. And we don't want that. We want everybody to be real with themselves so they can be real with other people.
Very good. Well, we are going to come back and talk briefly on the last one, air, which is faith.
Yes.
All right, beloved, we will be right back. Welcome back, beloved. My guest tonight is Ty Patterson, author of Southern Jewel, The Elements Within. We're not going to be able to expatiate on that last one. If the audience want to read it and view it, they can get your book. So tell them on how they can purchase your book. You don't have to give the price, just where they can, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Southern Jewel, The Elements Within can be purchased on Amazon.com, and it can also be purchased at www.meredithetc.com. That's MEREDITCH.com. And my number is 601-720-4420.
Okay, well, of course, it'll be somewhere in the break. So they can get it again. They can get a triple dose of it.
Okay.
All right. Any books in the future? Any more books in the future?
Several books in the future. We have children's books, memoirs, fiction, nonfiction. Anything I can think of, I am going to write it.
Very good. Well, we got to go, Ty. It has been real. Thanks to Trill for coming out and gracing us with your presence.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Beloved, there you have it. Thanks to Trill for tuning in. And I will see you next time on The Lady Walker Show.